Hey everyone, welcome to FMA Talk Live. I'm your host, Datu Tim, and my wonderful co-host,
PG Ties here. Welcome, everyone.
I hope everyone had a great weekend. I was pretty good. I saw a video. Were you out of town messaging, or was that an old video we saw about?
Oh, that was an old, 4 years ago. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it was a clipping drill from Grimace Torino.
And look who's there, Eric, right off the bat. He must not have gone to the gym. All right, hi Eric. Good seeing you. Oh God, look, he found his keys. Oh, okay. So, yeah, I did you do anything martial arty this weekend?
Actually, was going through old notes and straightening out some things. So martial arts up here, not so much active because I was trying to catch up on rest.
Hey, from the Philippines, Harold. How you doing, sir? Good guy. There we go. So today's President's Day. I hope everyone enjoyed it. In our town, our school system has the entire week off because they split up the holidays more. So I don't know how many people are going to be on the show tonight. It's probably going to be a shorter show anyways because we have a very focused topic today. So it'll be easy. There shouldn't be any rabbit holes for us to go down. But this weekend, I had a phenomenal time. So I went. I returned to Glen Burnie-ish area. I was there last month, and I bumped into some people that I knew, family members of. It was a Kick Connection, Master Carlos there, and while I was down there, they invited me to this grading, which they did this past weekend. It was a Doce Pars grading for people degrees, for first degrees all the way up to fifth degree black belts. Wow. And who happened to be sitting on the board with me? Senior Grandmaster Don Cuesta from the Doce Pars system. Wow. Don Cuesta is the person who sold me my first sets of weak half armor. I still have my helmets. I've got my chest protectors. The stuff he got me was amazing. And it was really cool because, man, this place checked all the boxes. Now, it is a Taekwondo school and an FMA club, but their FMA club has 75 members in it. And when they tested, everything I complain about our industry, you should wear a uniform. They all looked immaculate. Everyone had uniforms. Now, when they work out, they're relaxed. Don't get me wrong, but they wear the school club T-shirts and stuff like that. But man, they all had their uniforms together. They were doing forms in unison. If you didn't know better, you'd think it was a karate school, except they were doing Filipino martial arts. And Doce Pars, I've always found it amazing because their forms are so fluid and they do such a great job on like Kung Fu systems. Very fluid. I think it's easy to teach the harder styles like karate, taekwondo, stuff like that, which has very static movements in there. Right. But when you're flowing, how hard is it to keep everyone in a unit together? I know when we do our stick forms, we're very fluid, but when I teach it very staccato. But my God, these were amazing. And they did a great 3-hour test. It was amazing. 10 people, the whole club popped into it. All right, so let's do this here. So, yeah, man, we already have 16 people watching. So Chris Hiltz from sort of near North Bay is up in Canada. Harold, yes, greetings from the Philippines. Yep. And we obviously have no gym tonight. We already did that. Master Parsons from Flint, Michigan, north of Detroit.
Hey, sir.
Harold, yep, nice to see you two, sirs, again. Well, at least they included me in this one. All right. James Lynn, hey, how you doing, sir? And Ken Jowers, very good, from Tennessee. Awesome. And then one of our compadres and the senior board member, Mr. Craig Mason, PG Craig. Okay, so
that's a lot of Canadians already.
Listening, not watching. Okay, all right, no problem. So I don't have much of a rant. Watch FMA discussion. There's a topic they're doing a modernity series, and this last one was about the future. Kind of went off the rails. But you definitely want to listen. So they're kind of got some polite debating on some things, and it's rough because I was the only first-gen student there of Remy's, and the others were second-gen students that never met Remy. So it's kind of hard for me to sit there. I don't want to go, you don't know what you're talking about type thing, because it's really easy for that to happen. But I didn't think it went too well. I started getting messages and phone calls saying that they loved the show and they thought it was a great show. So I'm very pleased with that. We are going to go back and do a part 2 and a spin-off show, because I said maybe we really should do a show of what is modern arnis, because that's kind of what it came into, and I think if we would have done what is modern arnis first, because then we got into concepts versus
right.
And the thing here is, listen, I don't want people to think that I don't believe in concepts. I'm all about concepts. But I use specific curriculum to teach the concept, because if you look at it, any of our material is really it's like a math formula. This plus this equals that. Well, when you change the values, you get a different answer, but it's still the same formula. And the things that, and I'm not someone that says you keep it carved in stone. We're more molded in clay. And the things that change aren't the material, it's the application of the material. And I think people misunderstand, when they talk about concepts and stuff, they go down that path and they really don't know what they're talking about, or they don't want to listen to the other person to see what we're talking. Because I think, it's like there was some martial art luminary, and I taught with him somewhere, and said, well, like Sinwalis, we all use Sinwalis. Now this person is notorious for doing Sinwalis online. Oh, we don't do Sinwalis. We don't do structure stuff. We innovate. Well, no, that's called chaos. You have to innovate from a structure. Otherwise, it's just chaotic movement. So, but obviously the person didn't know what he was talking about as much as the luminary was. Not that he keels anything, but that's another story. All right.
Actually, go ahead. Oh, Renee. Hey, good evening, Renee.
And cutting wood is like cutting cheese. Okay, there we go.
So actually, I got something to add onto that pseudo rant, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
And that is, there's a fine line, and I think you touched a little bit on it. There's a fine line between going to concepts, making it your own, innovating, that kind of good stuff, and then sticking to some sort of base that makes sense. Here's the thing. You and I, we liked what Remy did. We liked what we saw Remy doing and how he applied concepts. So we learned those kinds of things, and that's what our focus was. I think there's a fine line between expanding from a solid clay base that's from Remy and then just going out everywhere. Where do you draw the line? Where is brand new innovation that doesn't even have a root, and where is it solidly the core in the pieces that you like? In my case, I liked what Remy was doing. I didn't like necessarily what some of the others were doing, but I knew that I had a touchstone when I watched Remy and I played with Remy. So that's where I go to.
When Remy did the art within your art, and of course, Rich is saying nice rabbit hole. The nice thing about the art within your art, when you were at the camps, everyone was doing the same material. Remy taught everyone the same material. How they applied it was different. Ergo, the art within your art. But someone still has to represent what the art was or what Remy did. Right. Because, at the end of the day, if someone who was a byproduct of that type of training, they don't represent what he taught. They represent what he blended. And the thing here is Remy always allowed people for stylistic interpretation of movement. Sure. But still, the core was the core. So
he nudged. But so I want Remy's innovations, and me to learn from that and go where I need to go with that. I don't want necessarily others' innovations, and here's why. Remy, we're not Remy. We didn't fight. We didn't do everything. We didn't have his experiences. We didn't travel the Philippines and test and learn and those kinds of things, and then get proven, and didn't have that time doing that. So while we can, be happy with what we're going, I always use that as a touchstone. So, there's a shorthand people have used, right? The pure Remy experience, right? That's a shorthand, really. We're really trying to touch base with what did we see of him, or what did others see of him, and what is really, his innovations, what is somebody's innovations on top of his innovations, right? That's your mixology.
Well, yeah. And you and I have a whole bunch of things that we did that Remy didn't do. But if you look at what you do, our expression, you could see Remy solid, anchored in what we do.
Hopefully.
It's not like it looks like it's a different art.
Right.
And people want to say, I've never seen Remy do that. Well, look what we're doing. Oh, you're doing pad work with one of the things I started doing with Sinwali boxing. I started adding boxing mitts to it. And it changes the visual of it, but not the concept.
Right.
you know.
Eric gets it if you get his quote.
Okay, all right. So first of all, Harold, we're talking about our guest here, Harold, World Secret International, and our niece had a national tournament last Sunday, and my team, his team, got 9 gold, 5 silver, and 8 silvers. Well, wouldn't that make it 13 silver? But what do I know? Out
Maybe
of
that's the next
players, we got 22 medals, including my black belt senior division. Phenomenal job, Harold. And
Magaling.
You have a art in order to teach the art. You have to have an art to have.
Right.
Yeah, there you go. Well, there you go.
Starting point.
Okay,
yes.
so I'm going to deal with this. So first of all.
All right. Yeah, go do that.
All right. So we've had this gentleman on before.
Yep.
He's waiting patiently.
Yes.
He's got a nice display behind him today. Very color coordinated. And I want to say, didn't my banner look? Well, actually, I took it off. Did you like the artwork for today's show?
I was fixing my kid's computer, so you
didn't get to see it. It was a good ad thing. I thought it was really good, but completely different. So listen, with no further ado, a year-ish later, a season later, we have Chris from Vulpes Training Blades. Sir, how you doing?
Good to see you guys again.
Okay, I'm gonna deal with this nonsense nuisance
there you
here.
Go.
So I will be back, but I'm gonna mute this in the meantime.
All right. No, Chris, this will be good, right? Because then I get to make up for missing participating in your last one. I caught a lot of it.
Yeah, it's good to see you again. It's been a while.
Yes, well, we haven't seen each other in person for a while. Yeah, exactly. Now, so you have a nice display back there. Any? Well, actually, first off, is there any things you want to announce right off the bat that Vulpes is doing right off the bat? Let's make sure we get that.
Wow, there's a lot. There is a whole lot going on. I actually wrote down a list of things because I know with my brain I'll get thinking of one thing and forget.
Right. Go for it so we don't forget.
Well, I can introduce one of the main things is most people have been pretty familiar with the Vulpes product line that had been before, where we just, the polymer trainers with the textured handles. Always, like before, there was always hand ground.
In the sculpted blade.
Yep, and everything is hand ground the same way a steel blade would be done, and the same kind of belt grinders, using the same blade geometry of a real blade to get that live feeling and balance to it. But over time, one thing that drove me into some of the things where we're going now is the thing with polymer is no matter how you texture it or how you surface it, it always still can be a bit slippery. And I was never really happy with anything that I could come up with to really replicate a good grippy feel. Just couldn't get exactly what I wanted. I tried, paracord. Paracord didn't have the feel I liked. And one of the things, in replicating, I always like to go for realism, is most swords, live blades that we're training for using, most of them don't have paracord handles.
Right.
They're usually wood or other surface, micarta or other surfaces. So I wanted something that could have the grippiness for training, but also have more of a feel of a actual sword would have. So I went through a lot of experimenting, all sorts of crazy materials and trying all sorts of things. And I ended up encountering, I was at the Blade Show last year in Atlanta, and I looked at a few knife makers and their handles on there. And one of them in particular is James Helm. He's a Forge and Fire champion multiple times. Very cool guy, extremely generous if sharing his knowledge and skills. Nice. And he was using he's using hemp and jute to string tied around the handle in a wrap, and then he flame treats them, and then he saturates them with marine grade resin. And you end up, it turns that wrapped handle into a phenolic. Okay. So the same as like a micarta or anything like that, it actually becomes a solid permanent handle, but it looks like a wrapped handle. It is a wrapped handle, but it's also a phenolic just by the addition of the resin. And I really like the feel of it. So I started experimenting with it, played around with it. I actually contacted James and got some tips on the resins to use and some things. And the result is the new handles system that I'm using on what we're calling the Artisan Tier Collection. And I'll give you a little side-by-side comparison with what's going on with that.
some reason, while you were describing that, for some reason, it came to mind. I've seen some handles like sort of a shark skin. It's not the real thing, but I mean, there's some that use that.
Yeah.
I was thinking rough or wood. Yeah.
So side-by-side comparison, there's old Vulpes, the textured polymer handle. And this is the new Artisan tier handle technology we're using here.
Oh, nice.
And I start out, I use a layer of skateboard grip tape.
Okay.
Like you put on a skateboard deck.
Yeah.
It is laid down on the surface, and then wrap the jute, which is a long, very long, tedious process.
I
that wouldn't be
wrapping that
around,
round and round and round, and then I have a little gas flame where I will singe it, so it burns off the fuzzies. It also gives it that kind of that nice weathered appearance. Kind of toast it, and then the resin, which is the first time James warned me it was going to be expensive. I went and bought like these little cans of resin, and they're like $100 for 2 little cans.
Oh, wow.
Insane, but it goes a long way. But you end up saturating that. You brush it in. Once it dries overnight, you've got this handle that just feels great. It's got the grippiness that you would get on a piece of rope.
Nice.
But no give.
Without
slipping. No slipping.
There's no slipping, and that's the nice thing about it. It lends a solid feel to it, whereas usually paracord can have a bit of a spongy feel, or it can slip a bit.
Right.
This isn't going anywhere, and it's definitely not going to unravel. You're not going to be training sometime, and all of a sudden your sword handle unravels or gets loose. That is permanent. I actually, because this is what I do, I make things and then I destroy them to see how they work.
Yeah.
Sure.
I tried to remove one of these handles.
Yeah.
So a cutoff wheel and a Dremel and a chisel and pliers later, and a bunch of work and cussing, I eventually got most of it off. So this is a permanent handle. It is very durable and rugged.
Nice.
Water
What
resistant,
blade is that
waterproof.
there? What blade is that?
This is, yes, that's why I grabbed this one first. Because besides just introducing the Artisan Tier collection, this is the new Artisan Tier version of the Datu series Caliban sword.
You have a Datu series blades there?
In fact, I have a whole series, Datu Tim Hartman series, which I just recently upgraded to the Artisan Tier level. I've been taking bit by bit, working my way through the Vulpes catalog, which is like over 200 models now.
Wow.
And been bumping up so that each model will have the standard version as you've known before, and there will also be the upscale version, the Artisan Tier version, which you're seeing here. Cool. Besides the handle wrap, you see the texturing I'm doing. This is a hand textured finish. We call it the dragon hide finish because try to go for like this sort of reptile and dragon skin look to it.
Okay.
But this is all hand done, every single bit of it. This is a lot of
for
work.
everyone who
take time.
if you're not familiar with this, what Chris basically does, short of forging steel, he cuts this out by hand and basically goes through the same process, a real blade, minus all the heat. So all the finishing work, the grinding that you see being done on these TV shows, all that kind of stuff. So Renee says I sound rough. You're so punny. And then I think a wood handle is good. Wood handle is good. Unfortunately, when you start doing more and more things, what happens? Cost goes up. Also, because to make a wood, this is a fighting blade, which is pretty thick, so you can spar with these things. How much you'd either have to channel out the handle so you can put a wooden handle there, or add that much more size, which would not be manageable. So Carl from Canada, another Canadian man, they're infesting us today. Says hello. Okay, here we go. So we've got this guy that stalks us all the time, and he has different names. It's Fart in the Wind today, but sounds like me in toilets. I install and test the bowl. Good. Eric says LOL. Harold, but the blade is too light. Very little heavier is better. Yeah, so this is definitely a heavier weapon. If I've seen some people take synthetic blades and put weights in them, to try to keep the profile. I mean, obviously Chris's profile is larger than the actual blade, but it's pretty darn close.
Right.
Pretty darn
give
close.
you an idea. These are the industry standard for polymer blades is generally around 1/2 inch thick.
Yeah.
Mine are ground from 3/4 inch thick polymer, so they're a lot thicker.
Yeah.
And that also gives me a lot of room to grind the bevel to give it the proper blade geometry.
I love the craftsmanship. Like I said, it's my favorite. It was and still is my favorite synthetic blades on the market. I have
surprised they're actually heavier than people might imagine. But you, Chris, I know you do your research. I would imagine you've probably tested weight ratios, centering. How does this fit with a comparable blade as far as what you've been able to track down?
Well, I make a point of
he makes
with
a
my
point.
sword. He caught me. You're getting edgy.
I'm here all day.
I'll remain guarded after this one.
I'll stay quiet so I'm not the butt of a joke.
All right, I'm done. I'm out of puns.
Okay.
I actually have a point of I really try to go for getting the balance to be correct and proper. Oh, I'm going to set it so people can't buzz through me there. Sorry about that. It's supposed to be.
No, we didn't hear anything, so it's all good.
All right, good. All right. Got people trying to message me to buy things.
Good.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Good thing.
So I go through a lot of work to get these to be balanced out correctly. Part of the thing of being able to grind, because I'm hand grinding these individually, one at a time on the belt grinder, I can actually hand tune them as I'm making them. So as I'm grinding them, I stop, I move them, I feel them, I balance them. Each one is literally hand tuned on the grinder to have the correct balance and movement. And there's some people who will message me and say, hey, I like mine a little bit this way, a little bit this way. I can do that. I can tune it up and channel it in that way.
And I can say it's clear you do that, because I remember picking up a few and you could feel the character of them slightly different, and then you could find one that you liked. I actually appreciated that because, what you want to work with is a personal thing.
Here's a funny thing. So, I show up to the PTI Camp with all my blades, and everyone goes, ooh, wow, ooh, wow, ooh. But then I pull out my Vulpes blades after Chris made all these, and everyone comes up to it's just a synthetic blade. And what does everyone do? Ooh, wow, just as if it was a real blade.
Well, wait till they see these ones, because these are a whole different thing.
All right, so let's get a few here. So, Ken, I haven't tried the Artisan tier with jute yet, but there may be a purchase in the near future. Now, Renee has a good question, because I would have asked you this question. Phenomenal question. Have you ever made steel blades yet?
I did some knife making quite some years ago. I took a month-long knife making class with a local bladesmith, and just wasn't able to continue at that time in life.
Okay.
Life was busy and things, and it just took around until just a couple years ago when I was like, I'm gonna try and make my own trainers, which quickly spiraled out of control into this.
Right.
As all good things do.
If you didn't put it into a business, we would have had to have an intervention.
It literally just went out of control. But my hope is at some point is to get back into making some steel blades. That's where my heart always was. I was always kind of a blade geek since I was a kid, and so
you should talk to Jason Arnold.
Yeah, I know Jason.
Yeah. So and then Ken goes to Harold. The weight is just about right compared with the live blades. And then Tony, the weapons designed are amazing, very strong, very durable, and they're a beautiful design. An amazing product. Yeah, it's definitely a phenomenal product, especially when you consider it's a plastic trainer. Right. And I've got all these aluminum and this, that. The other thing, the problem with aluminum, you got to sand it down. You're gonna get a burr. You're gonna pick up something sooner.
Cut someone, yeah.
When you get a plastic burr, it's not a big deal, And
it's important. It's good you mentioned that, because some of the issues with burrs and things. In my coming up with designing Vulpes products, I went through a lot of different types of polymers. Besides, I initially started out, should I make aluminum? Should I make polymer? And I went through different types of polymers, and there was, ABS, there was acetyl, polypropylene, came down to HDPE, which is, for the most part, that's mainly the industry standard for polymer trainers. You do see a lot of polypropylene, but most of the polypropylene ones are your ones you'll see that are kind of injection molded, and made in China ones you get off of Amazon.
Listen, you know, the thing about that's the same material they make all those playground equipment out of. So you know if it's there, it's going to be durable.
Yeah. But one of the cool things about it is that HDP has a bit of a vibration dampening effect.
Yes.
And doesn't transmit as much shock. Acetal, one was very expensive, but it just when you hit something, it's like grabbing it's awful. It's like grabbing an electric cord. It just like shock goes right to your hand. Whereas the HDP has a bit of a dampening effect. Okay. And by using the 3/4 inch thick stock, it has enough mass to suck up some of that shock up even more.
Well, hey, listen, we got a celebrity guest here. Hold on. We have Dana Abbott from Action Flex Weapons here. Oh, nice. So he does all the padded weapons that I like to use, the hit series and all that other stuff. So, hey, Dana, how you doing? I'm going to be placing an order again soon, by the way. My favorite padded sticks on the market.
Nice.
And then, here we go. I know this is going to, let me see, here we go. What type of plastic is made with a Glock? Is it the same as the polymer that a Glock is made from? I'm not even sure what a Glock is.
No. So it's funny. People say, so the polymer, when people hear polymer, they think polymer is just polymer. Polymer is very generic. It's like saying wood.
Right.
It's made of, if something was made of wood, and I have it because people don't know, so you have to educate sometimes. And people will ask, oh, is that made of polypropylene? They think polypropylene is a synonym for polymer. And so if polymer was wood, it would mean, wood. If someone said, is that wood or is it oak? We'll be like, well, it's wood and it's oak.
Yes.
So,
yes, it
right?
is.
All oak is wood, but not all wood is oak. Same with polymer. There's polymers, and polymer can be, there's all sorts of types, but it's definitely not the material Glock is made out of.
Well, it's in the name if people pay attention. So I'm a chemist, as you guys know. So we could go real technical on that side. But you did say you said something about one of the polymers you worked with that had that shocky, buzzy, electric, almost burny pain. I noticed that also when I play with polycarbonate as well.
Yeah.
Is that
one of the things
on the one you were talking about, or is yours?
Yeah, polycarbonate and acetal. There's some guys who use that, and that's it's just my choice. One of the reasons of that is talking about when as martial artists we talk often about being a good training partner. Mm-hmm. So if you're training with someone and the drill is, we're thinking about hitting the hand, but we're not really hitting each other's hands, so we put the stick on the other person's stick.
Right. With
the mindset that it represents the hand, but we're not there to smash each other's fingers because we all have to, be able to work a zipper or something later on. We need those fingers. So if you got that training partner that just, for some reason, thinks it's really funny to keep smashing your hand, he's not much of a good training partner. He's not the guy you want to train with a lot. If he's making a point of like, haha, I smashed your hand.
And they always go sorry, and then I go, ooh, I can be sorry too after the second or third time.
Right, exactly. So your gear has a lot to do with being a good training partner. If I bring, I could make a super hard polymer trainer, but if it's wrecking everybody else's trainers in the room, I'm kind of a jerk, So what I want to do is something that plays well with others. HDPE plays well with other polymer trainers, and it also plays pretty decently well with rattan. So if your partner doesn't have a plastic trainer and just has his stick, cool, you guys can train with each other, and our gear is going to get along, and we're going to be decent training partners to each other. So part of the philosophy in Vulpes is to make sure your gear is a good training partner for your friends and the people you train with.
Nice.
I got some more of the Datu line if you want to check it out.
Why, let's check that out.
All right, there's that one, my favorite of yours, that Pinute.
Oh yeah, the Pinute. That's a really sharp blade.
This is the new version of that. I'll try to give you a little
nice
zoom in there on that and the handle.
My problem is some of these I really like how they bang them up, but they do buff out nicely, and like you said, they do play nicer with other people.
And one of the benefits and one of the reasoning behind doing the newer finishes is that getting scratched and dinged up just becomes part of that character and blends in. So I did this because it helps your gear still looks as nice as when you first got it.
Nice.
Okay, Josh Wagner came in, set theory, and entered the chat. Okay.
He'll be back. Josh is a good guy.
Smash Fingers is 100% acceptable. Of course it is, Renee.
That's right.
Kurt from Alaska. Good to hear from you, Kurt.
Nice.
Wait, dude, do you do Filipino martial arts up there? I didn't know that there was FMA in Alaska. I might have to do a road trip.
They fight with bicycles.
There you go.
Axe handle, exclamation point there. Show it off.
All right, I'll show it in a second, Ken.
All right, and then
I know that I can't even see the name, and I know that's Ken.
Use code Datu for a 5% off. Actually, there was a code at one time.
Actually, if you remind me, don't let me forget, I actually set up a 10% off code for anyone watching the show.
There you go.
Because I'm just that guy.
All right, and then when
this
you
this is the Krabi Kraban sword.
Oh, nice.
From the Datu series.
Duh.
And then there is I changed the grind on that. So now it has a flat grind from spine to edge, which gave it a much more lively feeling.
Okay.
So when I send this one, because I'm sending this one to you, you're going to like the feeling on this one. I got the long
It's up in my mailbox all the time. I don't know where this shit ends up.
This long one here is the long da.
Oh, yeah.
From the Datu series.
Yeah, the shorter one for those we have. So the long one is meant for the two-handed swinging, and then in the Bondo we actually do double da. So like the Krabi Krabong, and that's what the shorter one is geared for.
Did you say Bondo?
Bondo, yeah.
So.
Kukri, there we go.
For those guys that like the Bondo,
this
is a Kukri trainer like no other Kukri trainer you've had your hands on. The sucker's got some mass behind it. And
that's the crucial thing. So Dr. G, someone from Cold Steel did a design for him when it put his logo on it, and so I bought it, right? So G's doing a seminar, and I pull it. What do you think of this? That's a nice knife, but it's not a kukri. I'm like, it's got your logo on it, but the whole thing is the biggest thing about a kukri. It's got to be freaking heavy.
Something that's got some mass to it.
When the momentum gets built up, it just cleaves through shit. Or break stuff that it hits.
Like a little hatchet is what they used them for.
I could probably drive nails with this. That's got enough mass on it.
Nice. I'll have to. You gonna bring one of those next time we see you so I can feel it?
I will. In fact, if you're at PTI Camp this summer, I will have a whole table of this stuff there.
Okay.
And when is the PTI Camp?
August. I don't have the date written in front of me. I think the 3rd and 4th.
Trying to coordinate with PG Chad on that, and we're a pair, so if we can do it, we'll do it.
All right. Ken asked about the axe handle.
Yes.
So if you guys know Coach Danny Terrell, he makes these axe handle sword trainers. From an axe handle, grinds blade bevels on them. So some of his students commissioned me to make a polymer version of his axe handle trainers. And that's what that is there.
Nice.
It's got the jute grip, and you got this extended dual choil part here for half sorting techniques, your Sagitas and things. But this thing, it's a great trainer. I use this when I really want to put in reps because it's got some weight behind it. So it's kind of like strength trainer. But it's also got enough beef behind it that if you actually wanted to use this, you can see that cross section there.
Yeah.
This is like a garrote.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say there's like a nice.
You can fight with this.
Yeah.
This one you can fight with. This one you can keep handy by the door or wherever.
I kind of like that too. Darn it.
What else we got? Oh, for you, you guys like got the Sandang.
Chris, long Chris.
These came out nice.
Nice.
So, trying to give like that hammered finish.
Right.
Along the blades, give it that nice sound. That's one of the nice things with this newer finish there. You really kind of get that, especially on these, you get that meteorite, hammered finish to it. And I think a trainer should do a little bit more than just be the tool. It should have a little bit of an inspiration. behind what you're doing. Like when you do Carenza, you're putting a lot of imagination into what you're doing and why you're doing it. I think if your trainer kind of sparks that feeling and, you know, fires imagination, what you're doing, that's part of being a good training tool.
Well, I think it goes both ways because yes, on the consumer and use size, but I mean, obviously you put that going in with the hand tooling, which I think is that's almost priceless.
Well, Kopesh, you're
Nice.
feeling like it's gonna get real ancient on there.
How long does it take you to make something like that?
That's always the fun question. And the answer is, it depends.
Sure.
So I have a hard time knowing for sure, because what I'll do is, because I don't really keep inventory, I make everything in order. So I start out like every weekend on a Monday, I sit down, or usually it's usually Sunday night, I sit down and figure out what I have to get done for the week. And I kind of map that out, and I lay out my patterns on all my material, cut it all out, and then I fire up the grinder, and I go through everything I have to make that batch of stuff, and it's usually all different types of things, and I grind through the first bevels on each grit, and then flip the belt, go to the next grit on all those things, and I work through several pieces at once, maybe sometimes a dozen to 20 pieces at once, going through each step of the way, and each grit, each bevel, and then I work my way all the way to the end to the finishing. So everything kind of happens like in a wave together. Yeah. But it means I have to also keep with over 200 something models. Each one has a certain detail or nuance to how I have to do it, and I have to keep all that in my head and keep track of that as I'm doing that. And so I'm not just making one thing over and over and over. I'm making about 20 things at once.
Right. Well, actually, that reminds me. I think maybe in the last show you probably emphasized this, but I think people should, if they're new to talking to you today, they probably should realize that, hey, you're a weapons martial artist first, and you came to this afterwards. So you're doing it from a passion point of view, right? And you go by the interest, just driving it behind that, and also hopefully fueling some of your inspirations and things. Anything you want to say on those lines?
Yeah, and it's actually brought me into some of the things that are coming up in the future for Vulpes. Saying about being a passion, one from as a martial artist, bikini treasure practitioner. Swords and blades are what I think about all the time. Before I was able to get into martial artists, I was always just a knife geek since I was a kid. I mean, people think I'm joking, but I actually, whereas most, adolescent boys are hiding a magazine under their mattress, mine was a cold steel catalog back when they were just a single piece of paper, folded brochure paper that came in the mail. Yeah, I would have like the Benchmade and cold steel catalog hidden under my pillow because that's what I was thinking about with knives. I was obsessive with it, and it's just always been a passion of mine. Nice. Which interestingly has led to I'm going to be vending at the Atlanta Blade Show in June for the first time. I went there and attended for the first time last year, which is like a lifetime dream come true, to go there and then to meet all these knife makers that I've been following for decades, and had my fanboy moments,
right.
all these guys, which one of the greatest experiences that blew my mind was going to the Blade Show, about to meet one of these, rock star knife makers that I've always, admired his work, and I'm wearing my shirt, and he turns around and goes, "Hey, you're that Vulpes guy."
Nice.
I'm like, what?
Nice. Nice.
So that was very cool. So getting to meet guys like that and be able to talk with them, share some experiences, and then here it is, full circle. I'm now actually going to be vending at the Blade Show, which I'm still not quite believing is real.
You might end up getting more work out of that.
I hope so. But it's a really amazing experience because you're meeting, in the same way when you get martial artists talking their passions, to be there and talk to other knife makers and craftsmen. And then there's the convergence of there's quite a few knife maker martial artists.
Sure.
And meeting guys like that and sharing time with that, There's other trainer makers. I got to spend time. Chris Craven from Hog Mountain Tactical, John from Tack Knives. Just awesome guys. We should be considered competition, but we act like brothers. We help each other out, support each other.
Perfect.
And that's part of the passion too. Like just like being a good martial artist, part of that is being a good training partner and being, sharing and moving beyond boundaries and barriers. I think it's cool that most of the U.S. trainer makers, we all talk and help each out, support each other. And if people are saying, "Hey, I was looking at your stuff, but it's not quite, I don't see exactly what I'm looking for," I'll say, "Well, what are you looking for?" And if they tell me they're looking for something, I know Chris or Heil from Native Clan or John from Tack Knives, if they're making something and that's what you want, I send you to them. I go, "Hey, I know the guy who," or if they ask for aluminum, I don't make aluminum. I got a list of guys who do. I'll give you those and say, "Hey, go to these guys, support them."
All right, let's get caught up here. So Kurt said, "So when are you going to make a batleth?
Is that Kurt and I?
Kurt, the mighty brown man.
Whoever the Kurt from Alaska. So
okay, I thought that was my friend Kurt because he knows like I get so the batleth is like it's like a running joke here because like I make a few Star Trek weapons, but the batleth has been one of those things of once again blade and martial arts nerd. We argue over whether some movie weapon is a good weapon or not. I'm always on the I hate the batleth side of things. Like that's a stupid weapon.
Okay.
But because so many guys have been like, please make one, I'm actually going to be making a few at some point as like a limited run. So I will make some. They will be in the artisan tier style, so it's going to look really awesome.
Okay.
But there won't be a lot of them.
Okay. So then Kurt also said there's a small community here. Visitors are welcome. We have a boat. Okay, so they have a boat in Alaska. That's good to know.
Oh, good.
Let's see. You're welcome. Fought for a member. Okay. Code.
They will add 20% to it.
Yes. If you use the Datu code, it's an extra 20%, and I get 30% of that. So, anyways, Eugene Lynn. There we go. Donate. Okay, yeah. Yeah, his stuff is top shelf to be sure. Best training swords I have.
Who's it?
That's Eugene Lynn.
Oh, hey Eugene. I trained with Eugene. He's a good guy.
Benko. Very interesting show tonight, gentlemen. Thank you. We always try to change it up. James Lynn. Hey, Chris. If someone wants a trainer to match an existing blade they have, is it possible to do it if they send you tracings? Oh. Well, actually, I'll answer that one. The whole Datu series is a bunch of tracings of my blades. So, yes, he can do that.
Or other odd weapons. He's done some custom knives for me, yeah.
Yep. And then we have Chris Nolly, who I was talking to the other day, who loved the show. Thank you, Chris. Was it South Carolina? I think that's South Carolina.
That's right.
And then road trips where I wears depends. Okay, very good. All right. Length of the tie swords. So, do you have a specific krabi krabong, or you just have the das that I do?
I have yours.
So what are your overall lengths?
Like I said, I've got 200 models, so
Georgia.
My brain doesn't remember all of them, but I can tell you.
So the long one, I want to say it's 40-ish or 36.
So you want blade length or overall length?
Let's do the overall length for Renee.
All right. So I've got on the Krabi, the overall length is 36.
Okay.
With a 24-inch blade.
Yep. So when we use the Burmese, a third of the weapon has to be the handle.
And the long one, is 40 inches overall with a 26-inch blade.
There you go.
Are you in your shop right now?
Yeah.
I thought so. Okay.
So here's the thing, though. Because I make everything to order, I can make everything to order to length.
Right.
So if you need a specific blade length or overall length, I can do that. It's no big deal. I can tweak them larger, shorter, lighten them, do whatever you want.
So Kurt wants to know, how many knives do you think you own now?
Do I own? Oh God, I have no idea. I mean, I don't even know.
It's got to be insane. I'm not even a knife guy, and I have a whole dresser drawer full of them.
Yes, I have. My wife actually bought me a piece of furniture for putting knives in, and it's full. And I have more furniture with knives in it, and then they're all over the house, and they're everywhere. So knives everywhere.
Tools everywhere.
Yep. Or things that go bonk. Which
there you go. Yes.
These are the Fiji clubs.
Okay.
I have a penchant for the Polynesian war clubs.
That looks like the what is that? The rifle stock that was in what the heck? Last of the Mohicans. It looks a little bit like that.
Yeah, you're thinking of Gunstock.
Gunstock
War club, and they're a bit shaped quite a bit different. But I do make those. I make several different types. This is the Polynesian style war clubs, Fiji clubs. This thing is not a trainer. I do make actual functional impact weapons.
That would.
This thing is a monster. It will just, knock out a horse. But you say the gunstock clubs. I don't have any of the gunstock clubs right in front of me. Well,
that's right. I thought they were thinner and shorter, right?
Well, they're long. Well, the gunstock clubs are. I make different sizes. I make a full-size two-hander.
Okay. I
make a shorter one-hander, and then I have this. The only one I happen to have right in front of me. I have what I call the micro.
Okay.
And this is my micro dragon club. This is literally a mini one-handed gunstock club that's been shrunk down, and these are designed to be reversible, so you can hit with different strike points, thrust. The point is designed to thrust no matter how you hold it.
So I came up with a very technical name for the middle-sized one from the movie. It was here's a very technical name. It's the Wampin Stick. I always wanted one, so I guess I'll have to look at that too. So basically, you better bring everything, and I better bring a bank account.
I also, part of the future, besides things like Blade Show, I've been hitting more martial arts events. I'm going to be at that the Martial Arts Symposium in New Hampshire.
Yes.
In April, so I'll be there for the weekend. Other seminars I'll be at, and I've also been kind of dabbling with the cosplay market, because it turns out there's a lot of crossover with this kind of products. So I'll be hitting some of the Comic-Cons in the area. Turns out a lot of the Comic-Con world and the martial arts world meshes. A lot of people are holding card members in both camps there.
Right.
So I've been coming up with some products that'll be popular with the Comic-Con kids. I say kids, it's grown-ups really that are spending the money on this. But I got some of that type of stuff to reach out to that market. And that's been a lot of fun, because there's nothing better than the big tough martial arts geek who's like, I really want this Naruto knife, and like, I got you, I can make that for you,
Well, so as somebody who's making your own things and indulging, right? As a martial artist, have you gotten some inspiration that he's like, this seems like a good weapon idea. I'm going to try it out. Have you come up with anything you're really happy with, or that you personally like that maybe people don't know about?
Well, like the things like some of these the gunstock clubs.
Right.
I took the traditional designs and tweaked them and modified them to reflect the background I have in bikini terja. Mm-hmm. I made like one of the mid-size gunstock club was actually the design was formulated while working recontras at the bikini camp, PTI camp one summer, and I kind of changed the design and made it so it's actually specifically designed to be very handy for someone who knows recontras.
Perfect. So, I remember some. I think I was there for the recontra camp. Yeah. That was a few years ago.
I've noticed the Irish stick fighting has become popular.
Yes.
I've seen a lot of that going around. Someone started a club here in Rochester recently. So I got into doing some of the gear for that.
Sure.
Making Irish stick fighting training gear. I've been dabbling with some of that, the training batas.
Mm-hmm.
So I got some of that kind of stuff I've been working with, modifying, taking what's out there and then going, what if I had this or that? And, I added this little notch on a knob-style training bata recently. It was a suggestion from a customer, and then I kind of ran with it. and it kind of makes it so when you're walking, it kind of rides your finger
Sure.
in this kind of color. But what it also does is it really allows for that launching into action into a ready position if you need so. Kind of anchors the hand. So kind of just a small, subtle thing, but
we would use that on my Chinese background. We'd also use that to catch others' weapons.
Yes,
like a ring almost.
Yeah, it does have a bit of a nice hooking on the back of the knee.
Yep.
Has a nice effect to that.
Yep. So evidently Josh was using the Fiji Club. Got mine right here with me right now. I was training with it earlier today. Love that thing. And then Kurt, nerd money, good money, excellent marketing, and models.
Thank you. Well, if he knows the nerd market, he might know this guy. If he's a Skyrim fan,
right,
they'll recognize this one. This is a. I put this on the table at the Comic-Con, and people lost their mind.
I bet. Nice.
Which was funny because I went from it was a fantasy video game knife, and picked it up, and when I was making it to make it look like the thing, and then when I actually handled it, I was like, this thing actually handles really good.
Okay.
And it actually, I started training with it because it's a really well balanced moving. So it was one of those discoveries of like, in the fantasy turns out to be a good reality.
Nice.
So, yeah. What else? I'm trying to think of things like. Oh, Ty. Remember your small Baron?
Yep. This one.
I redid that into
Baby
the
Baron.
Artisan Tier version.
Oh, that's pretty. Yeah.
So there it is, all dressed up and reborn for you.
I like the hilt, the way just the design on the hilt there, the puño, reminds me of a knuckle.
So blade of
good because
Yes, the blade of woe. There it is.
Nice.
See, he did. That was Kurt. He knew.
Yep.
Knew he was the right guy for that.
Nice. And I think you made didn't you make a baby kukri, or I don't know if you did or not. Remember you had remember I had that little baby kukri knife.
Yeah, the one I made for you.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know if you made it again or not, but yeah.
I don't have that one right now.
Yep.
Idea.
Yep.
I could reboot that.
Yep. This
has been a huge seller.
What is that?
These spears.
Oh wow.
They're a Zulu style spear. Burton Richardson was doing some stuff on Zulu spear, so I ended up sending him one, and he kind of lost his mind on that because he was like, "This is the best spear trainer I've ever had."
I'm going to be looking at some spears myself.
Nice.
We're because the Sabat actually is spear, not staff. That was brought up this week, and I'm actually experimenting with some stuff as well for like a 5-foot spear type thing. But so what do we have? So we've got the artisan blades. We've got you going out on the road. What's any new, something else coming out new that we should be looking for? Or
well, I've got a bunch. Some stuff I can talk about yet, some I can't. But I've got a lot of one of my big things has been doing lots of collaborations with makers and instructors.
Okay, cool.
If you look on the website, there in the main menu, and drop it down, you'll find a section called Makers and Instructors Collection. And I wrote a short list of some of the people I've collaborated with.
Okay.
These are makers, custom knife makers, or instructors. Some are folks and I'll just go through a quick list. These are just the ones I could think of. So if I forgot anybody out there, don't get offended. But I've got Josh Wagner, who's on there. He's the designer of the Schrade Priscilla that you're probably familiar with. Very popular sword with martial artists. I make the trainer. That's the Wagner Bolo. That's a base from him. I make trainer for James Helm, one of his bush swords that I bought at Blade Show last year. Wingard Wearables, if you've ever seen their tomahawks, they make concealed carry tomahawks. They're like nothing else you've ever seen with self-deploying Kydex sheaths. They're just wild. You got to look them up. Wingard Wearables. Okay. I make all their trainers for them. Actually, when you buy one of their trainers as part of a bundle with one of the live blades, that's a Vulpes trainer. I've been working with Austin McGlown, making, if you're familiar with him, if you're Columbia River Knife and Tool fan, he's the designer of the Clever Girl knife, the fixed blade, the folding knife. There's a kukri version and several other knives with Columbia River. I'm working on a project to make trainers for a bunch of his knives. We're working with Dr. Hartman, Chuan Jack Latour, Chuan Bill McGrath, Ken Jowers. We've got some designs of his in there. Coach Danny Terrell, Dr. Joey Cadena down in Texas. Done several designs for him. Gunfighter Customs with Chuhan Jesse and Mike Elliott, making a proprietary Terja Gnunting sword for them. Brian Kanata. I've done a trainer for Jerry Hossam and Signal Mountain Knives, and that's just some of the people we've been collaborating with, and there are more coming, and lots going on. Like I said, some I can talk about yet. I can't talk about yet. And
I get it.
We'll see what else. I also have a quick shout out to Rob Cabrera from Philo Blade Works, who hooked me up. The only product that Vulpes has that was not completely handmade was the black version of our third hand tool, which I completely forgot to put in my pocket to bring out here. We have that third hand tool. It's like a little impact karambit. Rob CNC'd a big batch of those for me, up to about, they required some, final hand finishing on my part, but he saved me a lot of time and work and gave me a real big boost by making me a big batch of those to kind of help me get things.
I want to talk about that hand tool.
Yes.
I might be controversial.
Okay.
I see it out there in somebody else's hands. Does somebody may have copied your design?
I don't know.
I had my Facebook page blow up on a guy, or blow up with this guy putting stuff up there all the time, and it looked almost identical to what you had.
Well, there's many guys making it's a karambit based type tool. There's a lot of guys. In fact, I will put it right out there. My biggest influence and my third hand tool is definitely a stepchild of Josh Wagner's tool. Josh Wagner makes the Dog Soldier, and Josh is a credible designer. I was very strongly influenced by his Dog Soldier, which he's aware of and knows, and we're good with that. It's definitely, we call it the stepchild of that. I wanted to have something that had the dynamics and function of his Dog Soldier, but with some differences. I wanted to look less aggressive. His was pointier, so I wanted him to look less aggressive, and had a few other tweaks in the design for the ergonomics. And so the third hand is that's what the result of that is. But there's a long list of finger ring retention impact devices, Kubotan type devices out there. We could put a table of them out there of about 100 people who have designs that are very similar. And it's like saying, oh, look, somebody copied the karambit. There's karambits out there,
right?
And they all look kind of similar.
Or Chris, for that matter, right? There's a bunch of Chris's.
Yeah, but most of them suck.
Yeah. No, I mean Chris knives. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant me.
No.
Yeah.
So I would imagine you probably get. So there are people there. They're very famous knife makers, blade makers, and things like that. I'm sure you get requests to do trainer versions of theirs. Now, do you have to then contact the original makers? And I mean, I think that's probably the nice thing to do. But I'm just wondering, how you go about that.
Yeah. So generally, what I do now, I have the makers that I collaborate with, and those are people who I have talked to directly and got permission. Like I have the Separator from Baston Bastinelli, which this was, I have direct permission from him to make. So that's nice. An example of that. I make a trainer for Jerry Hossam's one of his swords. Talked to him at Blade Show. He's like, "Do you make a trainer for this yet?" I'm like, "No." He goes, "Why not?" I said, "Well, I don't have your permission." He goes, "Well, you do now. Make one." So,
perfect. That's what I was trying to dig into. Yeah.
If people contact me and say, "Hey, can you make me this particular thing.
Mhm.
The rule of thumb is I tell them, well, that looks like it's a trademark thing or belongs to a particular maker. If you'd like me to make it, I'm going to ask you to contact them.
Perfect.
And get permission from them. They can do that legwork.
That's the right.
Get the permission, and then let me know and show me an email, show me some proof. I may even go and double check just to make sure. That's how. If they can't get the permission, then that's life. That's how it is. Now, when I first started out in doing this thing and having no idea what I was doing business-wise, I was making stuff right and left, going, "Cool, yeah, I'll trace it, I'll do that."
Sure.
And then I had some of guys who I call my big brothers in the business who were like, "Hey, you know what? Don't do that." Or here's how you do that. And so, that's the nice thing in this kind of business. It's just like martial arts. You got guys who are, your big brothers in the art who come up and put an arm around and go, "Hey, let me show you some things." Perfect. And they educate you. And I had my, my times of doing that. And I moved up how I do stuff. And yeah, if at this point, I've learned that there's a lot of great relationships to be built, just like in martial arts, also in the knife making industry. And that taking that step of just contacting someone and say, "Hey, can I make this?" And yes or no, either which way, it's still good. But it builds relationships, which is really in the end super important and makes it a lot of fun.
Excellent. I've been sort of running things here, Tim. Sorry.
No. Actually, I've been off and on because my dog's been barking. That's why I've been muting a lot. When you said, "Hey, you're muted," I'm like,
"There you go."
Yeah, okay. I know.
I don't know if I stepped on your toes or anything. I was just sort of geeking out with my friend Chris.
No. Listen, how long do I monopolize some of these interviews? I don't get like, let's see. Let's see this. According to the transcript, Ty's had spoken 30 words. Okay, well.
Here's a little something that's going on. So I tried to, with the economy being like it is, and my trainers they're a high-end item, in the trainer world. I'm not the cheapest guy, but I'm also making something that I feel is a higher-end product and an artisanal product. So I wanted to make sure there was a line of products that I had out there that were in the affordable range or the budget range. And what worked really well for that was the knife, things in the knife trainer size of products. So most of my products are done with the 3/4 inch thick polymer, so they're real heavy duty, a little heavier. For these, I have what's called the Fennec line, and the Fennec line is a series of knife trainers. These use the 1/2 inch polymer, which is a nicer scale for knife size things. The 3/4 inch can be a bit chunky for things at that scale. So I'm using the 1/2 inch for a lot of these, and these don't have the big full ground bevels like the swords and things will. So they're a little quicker and simpler to make. But I recently added them so that they have the jute wrap as a standard feature, which we've been using these a lot in classes and seminars. You get a 4-hour seminar and you're cranking away with these, which is a great way to test out the handle, how to feel. And these are just great. I mean, they never get slippery. The more you use them, the better they feel. They got kind of that break-in thing like a baseball glove does.
Yeah.
But I got a whole series of these that are just, they'll usually go about $35, and that's just free shipping. Everything in Vulpes is free shipping in the USA. So in the US, everything is free shipping. So these are, priced to move nicely. For the guys that like the Pakal knives,
right?
Got a whole series of those. I took the third hand tool design, incorporated that into a ring-handled Pakal knife. We did that with a few other things. So I've got a drop point knife with I put the third hand ring feature on there. So you got the same kind of thing going on there. So I just made sure I had a line, because what I want to do is be able to have a line of products that you get training clubs, schools, that need or people setting up a seminar and they need a supply of affordable knife trainers that are going to hold up well, especially if they're handing them out to students to beat on and destroy. These are a good product line for that. the mindset behind these was to make these available.
No, that's a good idea to spread out spread the wealth, if you will. Everybody can try a piece.
This was the new one I just recently stood up. This was one of Tuhan. There's the Datu Tim Hartman series. There's also the Tuhan Jack Latour series, my teacher. Right. So this is one of his design interpretations on the Bikini Church of Longsword.
Right. I recognize that well, yes.
Yeah, I recently updated that to a artisan shear version. And actually, this is the prototype for that, which I actually took my own personal trainer and used this I completely redid it into the artisan shear version. And this one's mine. I'm keeping this one. Quite often, a lot of my prototypes end up going out the door.
Okay.
To people.
Right.
So I don't even own most of the prototypes. So a lot of people out there don't even know it, and they're holding on to the original pieces on some of these. So I'm thinking I might start in the future marking them.
Oh, there you go.
So anyone who gets that in their hands know they have the original. That might be fun someday. So should I ever be collectible?
There you go. You could probably use heated up numbers or whatever you wanted to mark them. That way it stays in there deeper or something.
I have to figure something out. It's tricky.
Yeah.
I've tried to find different ways to engrave logos. One of HDPE's superpowers is that it's impervious to most paints and epoxies, and it's really difficult to like laser engrave.
Right.
I've had a few people try it out without success. So I do have a guy who recently, customer, has a particular laser device that worked.
Oh, wow.
So I'm looking into that some more because that could actually possibly give me some options.
Okay.
But yeah, they're actually difficult to laser.
So I got a very important question.
Yes.
What do you do with all the HDPE dust?
Right now, bag it in garbage.
Okay, I was wondering if there's a way to recycle or reuse, or I was thinking, I 3D print. I could imagine somebody extruding it into.
I would love that. So I actually have. It's not the dust. I have a lot of chunks.
Yeah.
Of odd sizes that are no use to me, and I unfortunately I've ended up having to scrap a lot of it.
Yep.
And I have tried at a few other different forums and various ways to try to find somebody who could use it. Now there was like some educational, if there was like a small business that could use that, I would literally give it to them if they could recycle it or use it to use for their business. If there was like an educational program where that was like making stuff, was like in trades programs, if there was something local where they could use that and use it to help teach people trades, I would literally give it to them.
You probably make cubic yards of that. I
make a lot of scrap.
Yeah.
And it's I try to be as efficient as possible. Sure. They've got the guys that do the CNC things, which I don't use, but they have that thing where they take a sheet of material and the computer will figure out the most efficient way to lay out, how to fit the products in it.
Right.
I actually had a guy map out how many pieces of a certain type of a certain item would fit on a sheet one time. And he's like, yeah, the computer says that's the most you can get in there. And I was like, well, I actually usually get one more than that. So I've actually out Tetrised a computer by trying to figure it out.
Nice.
But at this point, it's
there you go. Local game store can use them for TTRPGs.
People could carve minis out of them, or I'm not sure what that is.
I don't know.
Yep.
It's a TTP.
I was thinking, playground padding, right? So they have that rubbery stuff, but maybe this stuff would be a base under that would be nifty for playgrounds. I don't know. Maybe it's too pointy.
I think it's kind of sharp.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but it toughens up the kids.
There you go.
Yeah, they'll suck it up, buttercup.
Yeah. Like German playgrounds. It's just
or maybe somebody can press it into
broken glass or something.
Right. Maybe somebody can press it into, low wear sheets for something. Who knows? I have no idea.
I don't know, but it's like the material I'm using. If they're going to recycle it, it's perfect for it. I use I buy virgin material. So it's clean. It's ready to go.
I was just curious. I'm not, but I knew you were thinking about it, so I figured you would have probably had an answer if there is one.
I don't want yet, and I would love to find someone that could use it because it really makes me twitch to have to throw it away, and I keep piles of it more than I should because I've always thought, well, I'll figure out somewhere to use this, and then of course after a while you realize, all right,
Garbage.
I'm
Yeah.
swimming in it, and then I got to dump it. And
Yeah.
so I try to find smaller and
Well,
smaller.
maybe
things
this
I can
show
make
somebody
out of
will
it.
see it and have an idea and say, "Hey, wow, here's what you can do."
I hope so.
All right. So let's see here. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about with your products and developments, or have we? I don't want to wrap things up before we've covered everything.
I think the biggest thing is, the launch of the Artisan tier version of things.
There we go.
For me, that's the future of where we're going.
Nice.
There's, the starting to hit more events, going to Blade Show and working on collaborations. I think a lot of those are doors that I'm stepping through right now, and some of them I have an idea where they're going, and some I'm not sure. And I think it could be a year from now I could have some pretty interesting stuff to tell you then.
Cool.
The looks of where things are going. So
what Josh is saying is there might be some role players that have little figurines on like Warhammer and stuff like that, and Josh, I know a little about that too. Too.
You could make a whole mini line of these weapons with the small chunks.
There you go.
Well, I did buy one of those little rotary dentist tool grinders, and I'm
go.
trying to teach myself how to carve a little better.
There you go.
There you go.
I can learn how to become cross-eyed trying to.
All right. Well, so were you going to do a discount code?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll give you the code. FMA Talk. One word, no spaces. FMA Talk. There's the code.
Oh, well, I actually already have one set up if you want it.
Got a code. Never mind. Let's start over.
Sorry.
Two codes.
All right. The code is in all capital letters, Datu for you.
Datu.
DATU 4.
The number 4.
Yep, number 4, the letter U.
Letter U. Okay.
And
Datu for you.
And that is for how much off?
10% off, and it goes till midnight Friday.
Nice.
So all this week.
I'm going to write this right now. And what do you do for shipping for continental U.S.?
All shipping in the U.S. is free.
Continental or even Hawaii and Alaska?
Yeah, free.
Boom.
Yep.
And
if you want an international order,
10% off.
Yep. If you need an international order, just message me. There's a chat feature right on the website. It says chat with us. Hit that, ask me, and I'll tell you how to do an international order. Because that website is not set up for international, but I have something for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So right there, it came in all the things. I posted up there, Datu for you. 10% off. There we go.
Through Friday.
And go to the actual www.vulpes.com website. I have an Etsy out there still.
And if you look at right here, under his little thing, it says right there.
But don't go to the Etsy. Go to the actual website.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you got that website. You were talking about it, and that's probably been a boon for you, right?
It's been great. The Etsy's still going because I use that for international and stuff, and because even though I have the full main website, people still keep going to the Etsy.
Sure.
So I kind of
not
keep it around because why not?
If it's not
but I prefer the business going through the main website. One, it saves me a ton of money. Etsy eats a huge portion of the profits on me.
There you go.
And it costs me a lot more to ship through them. So please
there you
go through my main website. So.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Well, listen, Chris, thanks for being on. Just hold on for a few minutes. We're going to just do a debrief afterwards. And then, listen, guys, check out his stuff. It's my favorite synthetic trainers on the market right now. End of story. I haven't broke one yet. And I got kids training.
I haven't had one reported broken yet.
There you go.
Okay.
All right. Well, we'll see you soon, Chris.
All right. Good to see you guys. Thank you for having me.
Yep.
All right. Cool. All right. So, everybody, I think that was a good show. We averaged about 15 people the whole time. A lot of interaction. Definitely looking forward. Now, next week's show, I want to talk about that real quick. This is going to be a bunch of topics in one.
We never do that.
Never do that. So we're going to talk about misnomers and FMA or just different theories. We're going to talk about, do you need to be ambidextrous? Mm-hmm. All right. Actually, there was a couple. Is the stick of the blade the same? And more importantly, is it Is it stupid to train stick fighting for self-defense, or is it ingenious? But these are the topics we're going to be talking about next week. So the title will probably be, is stick fighting stupid for self-defense? That'll get everyone going. Like, okay, there we go.
I might have multiple opinions about each of those.
And that's why we're going to talk about, like, because we were talking about a couple of things, and I think each one of them we could wrap up short.
Yeah, we could sort of do a round robin. You stick to one, nail it, do the next one.
Yeah. So, okay, good show. Okay, thank you, Eric, and then Ken, thank you. And then here we go. Great. Have a great week. Fantastic show. Thanks, Steve. I want to really listen. I want to thank everyone for coming in all the time.
Sure.
It would be awful lonely if it was just Ty and I. We still talk shit, but it would just be the two of us. So, we really appreciate this. And the thing here is this. So I've been on a couple different shows in addition to this, and I'll get people reach out to me directly. And that's really, because you know what? If you get one person reaching out directly in a positive way, that means there's probably a whole bunch of more people who are really that felt similar and just didn't say anything.
Sure.
And one of the things we have a problem with, or not a problem with, since we do the show the way we do, it's on Facebook and YouTube. We don't really get a good scope of how many people are watching because none of the Facebook numbers work into the YouTube views, and it's on two different channels. Like I'll get like 40 views on each channel, but we'll probably have another 30 views here. So each show is doing at least 100 viewers. It's cool. I'm digging it.
Yep. But it was good. So it was a good visit with Chris, and it's obviously good material and stuff. One of the things I like to point out is because I like personnel. Chris is a great guy, which makes it so much easier to buy his great stuff, which is wonderful. So I will support him, and he supports everybody else too.
Midget Ninja in a suitcase, best self-defense. Okay, there we go. Thank both of you for doing these. Thank you. Make good choices. Good night. Okay, there you go. Listen, next week or this Saturday, I will be in St. Mary's, Pennsylvania, teaching over at Silver Dragons for Tuhan Brock. Nice. I've got the week off after that, and then I'm on tour in Florida for a week and a half, so we'll be down for a little bit. So next week we have the miscellaneous topics: is stick fighting stupid for self-defense? And then the week after this, wait for it, everybody. Here's the big one: freaking Datu Kelly Warden. Boom, freaking Datu. That's going to be the title. Freaking Datu Kelly Warden.
There you go.
Oh, here we go. I'm going to have to catch the replay a bit. We were just talking about you.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say you have to delete the parts we talked about him.
Yeah, shit. Okay, yeah, we'll edit that so he doesn't see it. But but I'll be down at Brock's this weekend. And then, thanks to Tim and PG Ty and Chris. Hey, no problem. All right, listen, everybody. As always, please stay safe and stay sane. This is Datu Tim.
And PG Ty. Take care.
And we'll see you all soon.